Well, hey, welcome everybody to another Tech Tip Tuesday. Here we are at the end of August, August 27th, 2024. Oh my gosh. My name's Ken Close, member here in the USA, engineer and lover of Tech Tip Tuesday. I am joined by our awesome head of operations, Jake Barron. Hey, Jake, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Ken. Hello, everyone. I'm a lover of Tech Tip Tuesday as well.
Woo, right on. Gotta love the fans. And so we are also joined by an amazing customer service agent. Dongni is in the background with all you guys. So make sure you say hello to her. How you doing? Well,
Yes, hello, Dong Ni. Thanks for being here.
yay. Awesome. So for all you veterans of Tech Tip Tuesday, you know what it's about. But let me tell you guys that are new how it works. And welcome, by the way. We are a chat-based forum. So what you guys do is come in, put your questions in the chat, and myself and Jake and Dongni, we will unpack those, and sometimes the audience, unpack those, investigate those, answer those questions, even expand upon your perhaps understandings already of how Healy works. We love doing that. But what we can't do is we can't talk about disease, disorder, or prevention or treatments of any kind. So we can't talk about that, but we can point you in the right direction for suggestions that Healy has as far as an amazing database. So hopefully that makes sense for you guys. Definitely light up that chat and let's get this party started. How about that?
Sounds perfect.
Awesome. And if you guys don't put some questions in there, we're just going to make some stuff up.
But
We're going to start
it'll
talking
be
about
it'll be it'll be useful stuff. So
it'll be very useful stuff. It'll be stuff that is maybe you didn't know before, maybe you were afraid to ask. I don't know. But by the way, there is no bad question. There is, we'll just point you in the right direction if we can't answer it here.
yeah,
We've done a lot of interesting questions over the years of tech.
yeah,
Right? I can say it plural. I can say it plural. Uh,
exactly.
so it's been around a minute.
Yep.
Yay.
Okay.
Those of you that are here, maybe you found us through the Telegram group, maybe through the events calendar, however you found us. That's awesome. And notice those groups are also posting any cancellations or changes. And by the way, tomorrow's What's Up Wednesday has been canceled, everybody. So make note of that. Look for everything next week. It's too close to
Yeah.
the end of the month, right?
Yeah, the holiday weekend coming up. The last few business days of the month here. I want to make sure everyone can focus on those uninterrupted. But yeah, definitely register for Frequencies and Friends, which is on Tuesday, September 3rd. So Monday is a holiday, Labor Day here. So that's normally when we would do Frequencies and Friends, the first business day of the month, but it happens to be a holiday. So it's going to be on Tuesday at noon Eastern time this in September. So
Right on. Everybody enjoy that holiday weekend. And since I'm not seeing any questions, Jake, I want to talk about traveling with your Healy. How about that for a minute?
yeah, you went on quite the journey with yours recently, right, Ken?
I took this Healy. Actually, I took three Healys with me, by the way. I don't just take one. I'm like, I have a backup because sometimes I run out of juice, right? But traveling with your Healy, folks, here's what I do. I wear my Healy. It's almost like getting dressed in the day, right? I put my wristbands on. I got the cables going. I'm pretty much suited up for the day, just as much as I would put on my jacket or my shoes. And I'm out in my life. And so the cool thing is Healy has always been designed as a wearable, personable, shareable device, right? Something that goes with you everywhere you go. So I just had an amazing trip over to India, and I took my Healy with me the whole way. Now, some countries don't like wires attached to you, so make sure you know where you're going and some of the rules there. But I do travel with my Healy and I use it on the aircraft. So I get questions like that all the time. Can you use your Healy on the airplanes? The answer is yes, because there are no regulations that say that you can't use the Bluetooth from your device, from your smart device, right, to your Healy. And that's really the only thing it needs. It doesn't need a Wi-Fi connection, right? Once you've loaded the software, aka the apps, on your smart device, and you have logged into your account and you've downloaded, right, all of the content, all the programs to those apps. Now, remember, when you first go to the App Store, put your apps on your smart device, they're just kind of a skeletal structure of the app. There's really nothing there yet, right? So you need to make sure that you activate it with the serial number from your Healy, with the pink app, with the Healy 2 app, and then of course log in and do the first download with the Heal Advisor Analyze app. Once you've done that, you really don't need Wi-Fi anymore. So you can run the system completely from Bluetooth anywhere in the world. So all of the programs and all the functions, all the bridging, all the quantum entanglement is built into the app. And all you need is the hardware with a good battery and the smart device and the apps, and you're golden to go anywhere around the world. So
okay, if you can just talk, when we talk about Bluetooth on the airplane and that kind of thing, you're talking like a localized sort of bubble around you. Like this is not much different than, say, you're using an iPad and streaming it to your wireless headphones or something. Like it's the technology that we're talking about here, especially the Bluetooth low energy as well, the Healy device is using to interact with your phone, or if you just turn the Bluetooth off completely once you start the program too.
exactly. People are concerned about Bluetooth, right? Why? Well, it's gotten a bad rap, to be honest with you. Yes, it is a 2.4 gigahertz signal, so which is a millimeter wave or a high frequency wave that if it were under high power, in other words, a tremendous amount of current, or enough wattage of that signal, if it were of high enough power, it can damage tissue, right? It can, if it's of high enough power. But this is, as Jake mentioned, Healy uses BLE, which stands for Bluetooth Low Energy. This is why you only have a 32-foot range between your smart device and the Healy. You get too far away from your Healy and you lose the Bluetooth signal, right? And 32 feet, right, which is what, like, what is that, 10 meters?
Something yeah, like 10 yards. 10 yards on the football field.
10 yards, 10 meters-ish. So that's all you get. And that's a clear line of sight. So if you're going through walls or inside or outside of a car or obstructions such as a lot of people, right? Even if you're in a crowded area, same problem, you're going to lose that range. So, so this is a very low energy. And the way you can tell how powerful the Bluetooth signal is how far away can you get from the smart device and the Bluetooth enabled device. So these earbuds, guys, that can go for 1,000 feet, right? Or whatever the long range. Now that's not low energy. I'm just giving you a heads up. That is not lower energy. So you've got these earbuds of high energy, high power right there on each side of your brain. I'm just saying, pay attention, do your homework, be cautious in that regard, but Healy's not that way.
Yeah. And what about Bluetooth interference? So like on a plane, you're in a very closed environment. You got a ton of people around you. Mm-hmm. Especially if you're going on a international flight to India, you're probably on a bigger plane, maybe 777, A350, something like that. And you've got just within 10 feet front and back, you might have, 30 people or something all using Bluetooth with their devices too. And what, as far as affecting your ability to connect and that kind of thing as well.
Yeah, there is potential for interference. Like you're sitting right next to each other.
Yeah.
Unless you're in first class, I fly coach. Yeah. But you've got people on both sides of you, and if they're running some kind of a device that's running Bluetooth, mm-hmm. Then you've got a potential for interference. Once the Healy and the smart device lock into signals, this is a digital pairing. It's a digital alignment. So it's pretty locked in. However, if there is, if you disconnect, then reconnecting, once you're locked in, you're pretty good. right?
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
if you get disconnected and then try to reconnect, then it may be picking up all other things. Just adjust the proximity of the two and reconnect. Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. So Vernice's got a great question about deleting some of the resonance content. And then it looks like Dongni has put some content in there for you.
Yeah, that's a great question though, because a lot of us, you might have lists going back long ways, and you want to feel like you want to clean things out here and kind of start fresh. Um, a lot of us are used to maybe some sort of email programs or whatever where you can select,
Yeah.
20 things at once and just click delete. As Dominique put into the chat here, thank you for that. But right now it needs to be deleted one at a time. But anything like this, these little features that you might think would make the Analyze app more convenient to use the send feedback feature within the app itself. That those go directly to the product team. It's within the app. There's an option there where you can send feedback in different categories and that kind of thing. And the more people that request some of these features, the greater the chance that it will be added to a future update. And I do know there are going to be some additional enhancements to the user experience, some features to make it a little bit more convenient. I don't think that actually is one of them, not that I'm aware of at least, but there are some cool things coming in some of the future updates to the Analyze 2.
Yeah, this is such a great feature, and the IT department is looking up that. So if there's enough desire or request for a feature, Healy has been amazing in the evolution as to what's been implemented based on feedback from the field. So once upon a time, that feedback from the field wasn't as convenient as just putting information in the app. So this is a very great advancement right there.
Mhm.
Okay. So Dory's asking, how long do you vibrate the Meridian module on the MagHealy? Longer, shorter, or same as Healy? So remember, we're looking at there's a great analogy when it comes to material form, right? Matter as the body versus the energy body influence versus the quantum entanglement body. So there's those different categories. When we're looking at working with tangible body, it's matter in space and time. It takes a bit more to move that bigger ship, right, than to influence the information field. The information field can be influenced at the speed of light. I mean, this is why some of these programs you can vibrate for like a fraction of a second, and because it really upgrades quite quickly. But perhaps you've even heard Doc Steve talking about on some of the other episodes of things that we've been on, where it's when we're talking about the spiritual body, it takes less time versus the tangible 3D body. And so, of course, Healy's got some recommendations, shorter periods of time, more often through the day versus longer periods of time, fewer times during the day. There's some content around that. That's actually in the, I think that is in the coaching module, isn't it, Jake? About
Yeah, in Academy, the coaching module, we actually, the last Healy for Beginners and Beyond that we did on the Analyze app, we talked a little bit about the transmission duration too. So if you want to review that again, you can go back to our YouTube channel, HealyAmericas.com, look for the last or the most recent episode of Healy for Beginners and Beyond, and you'll find some information there. But it's a great question as far as should you do anything different when you're using the Meridian module, because you're using your MagHealy versus versus your Healy to vibrate these programs.
Yeah, and the truth of the matter is they both are doing the same job. They're both addressing the same field of information. And so it's not that this one's sending more power than the other. The MagHealy does have a dual transmission system, right? And it has a bigger battery, so it can operate longer periods of time. But when it comes to magnetic waves, that's different than when we're talking about the information field. And we're talking about the analysis and sending things to a client through entanglement means. They're equal in terms of how they are, how powerful they are, right? They're equal. But it's the amount of duration, the time in which you're looking at that sending that content. One of people ask me these questions a lot, and I love those questions, but I'm going to always refer us back to the body itself, right? When you're doing things and you're overdoing things, I mean, people say, more is better, right? It's not necessarily true, especially if the body is having a response to it. So if you're doing some things where you're transmitting longer periods of time and you're finding that your body feels maybe more achy, maybe more brain fog, maybe more headaches, maybe more disorientation, that's kind of like a detox symptom. You might want to back it off a bit. All right. And then also increase your self-care, such as hydration, grounding, and movement. And we had someone on our call just a few weeks ago, right, Jake, that was overdoing it, and that was creating some symptoms. And when she backed it off a bit, the symptoms went away.
Yeah, and it wasn't like she was running 8 programs a day. It was just two. She was brand new, running 2 programs a day, 2 Gold Cycle programs to start. And that was too much for her. Everyone's different, and she backed it down to it's 1 program per day, and she felt great after that. So
yeah, that's why I always say I level the playing field with the body, because everyone has one. And if we just go back to the body and listen to it, I mean, okay, I mean, I admit it. Sometimes I'm pushing through certain things, when I'm working on a goal. But how many of us are really listening to the body? And when there's something going on, that we back off
yeah,
instead of saying, I gotta get this done. I gotta get this done, right? Go back to the child. Look at a little child. When they've got to hurt something, they just don't use it. They'll just sit there and go, I'm not going anywhere, right?
yeah.
So we need to take advice from a little child
I mean,
sometime.
a lot of us grew up, hearing a lot, no pain, no gain, right,
Yeah.
Ken?
Yeah. Just
So,
rub some dirt on it.
and so, yeah, so when you get your Healy, a lot of people are like, well, I'm going to turn 100%. I want to feel that that tingling. And no, that's not the approach you want to take with your Healy device.
I also want to let you guys know too that the body is an adaptable engine, right? It's 97% of the genetic code written to every cell is an adaptive gene. And that adaptive gene is reading the environment. And the external environment of the cell is the internal environment of the body. So I'm not saying that it's reading, the green lights and the red lights of your traffic signals, or the, that the house you're in or the beach you're on. Not specifically that. Your senses interpret all that content and then give a feeling to the body. And that's what the cells are interpreting, is this energy field of emotion and perception that's going on inside. So 97% of the adaptive code is reading the internal environment of your body. And when we change things, so Healy is running microcurrent, like the way I'm doing it, it's running microcurrent into my body. That's interior. That's the internal state of my body. And that genetic coding system is reading that. So magnetic energy with the coil, right? Same thing. The body's an antenna decoding that content from the magnetic signal into electron flow within the body. And then the body is utilizing that information. So with all that said, if we are an adaptive engine, right, these bodies, when you start at a certain level with the microcurrent or the MagHealy or any of this this system, right, eventually your body's going to adapt. So you may be very sensitive now, but it may change over time as your body gets used to it and acclimates into this new modality and accepts it. So don't be afraid to make adjustments, but make sure you start in a mellow field as opposed to overdoing it. All right. I've found the same within my body that, what I used to gain a ton of sensation around certain frequencies, I don't so much anymore. It's not that my body's not getting it, it still is. But I have acclimated to it, just no different than working out, right? You have to change some of the amplitude of the workout you're doing. Doesn't mean the muscles aren't still getting benefit. Even if you don't change the weights, say, for instance, the weights on your bar or whatever you're doing, maybe you've increased repetition. You're still going to build endurance within that muscle. So you may wind up being able to do more programs per day, right? That's repetition. as opposed to amplitude. So just pay attention to your body.
I like this question. Next question here from Carla. It says, where can I go to get help with connecting my Blue app to reconnect to my Healy? You're in the right place. You got Dongmi helping you out in the chat. I know she asked for some more or put some tips in there, which is great. And Ken and I can help as well. You know, this is kind of a general question. We got to break this down a little bit further as far as the connection. Are you not able to log in to the app? Are you logged in to your account in the Analyse app, but you can't actually physically get that connection going between the Analyse app and your Healy device? Or is there some other issue going on there too? Maybe you can put some more details here in the chat and we can kind of try to figure this one out here on the call.
So Carla's saying that it won't even let her log in. So to connect, by the way, to open the Blue app does not ask you to hook up to your Healy yet. It does ask you to log in though.
Yeah.
So right there gives us a clue. If you're not able to log in, you know, where is it failing? Is it just sitting there spinning around and around and around and around, not actually doing any of the download, you know, which is a synchronization. The moment that you open the Blue app, it's going to try to synchronize, right? And if it's not logged in yet, then it's going to ask to log in, then synchronize. So it's if you're not getting past that window, that's a clue that something's not right in terms of the login, either credential, you know, typos, or I have had some very unique conditions where a client's account just got deactivated. Right? I mean, that, I mean, you know, sometimes the technical department is doing some things, they're beta testing things, and some account gets deactivated accidentally, and then you have to contact customer service. So if you've put in a ticket, Dongmi can actually look at that, by the way.
Yeah, if you message Dongmi there directly, send her a message maybe with your full name and email address, she might be able to take a look while we're on the call here to see if there's anything unusual going on there or help you reset the password, that kind of thing.
Yeah, let's make sure and get you solved here because this is the place to do it. I love it.
Yeah.
So Dory's still saying that I'm still not quite understanding how the vibrating compares between the two devices. Okay, so let's unpack the word vibrating first. Okay, so Healy uses the word vibrate, and we might think of that from our context as something actually shaking or jiggling, right? Have you ever been vibrated by something, right? You're on a bumpy road or something is, you know, vibrating. So that's not really it. The analogy to vibrating is transmitting. It's transmitting. So the Healy hardware and the MagHealy hardware transmit frequencies, right, through their frequency transmitter. And what most people think that when you're running the Blue app versus the Pink app, that it kind of works the same. And it's not. Within the Blue app, everything is tied to a client. Everything is tied to a client. In other words, there's a quantum entanglement with an entity. The client equals entity, same thing. And because the reason I'm saying entity is because sometimes we interpret a client as a person, but the Blue app can work with an animal, a plant, a building, a car, a group, you know, anything. And so that would be an entity, but AKA client. And when the hardware and the software are linked, and the Blue app, you've commanded it to do a vibrate mode, then the content from the software in the app bridges with the Healy hardware or the MagHealy hardware, and that becomes the emission, the transmitter. And it transmits this signal out into the quantum field. And, you know, we know that these devices have a certain frequency range when we're using them within the magnetic field, right? When you're using it with the Pink app, you see the literature that says the Healy has a 3-foot diameter radius, and you see that the MagHealy has a 3-meter radius, right? And so we think, well, that's the limit. Well, that's true to a point when it comes to the magnetic emission. But when we're looking at quantum entanglement, with the blue app. Different analogy, different concept, different science. We're talking now quantum entanglement. Quantum entanglement blankets the universe. So when two molecular items are linked in some fashion, and I want you to understand awareness alone links molecular structures, awareness. So the moment you think of someone, right? First of all, you probably don't ever think of someone you've never known or you've never met, right? But when you think of someone you've known or you've met, there is a entanglement, a molecular entanglement, atomic entanglement. And the moment you think of them, that thought is a wave. It's a wave of information that links the two together. And how many of you guys have ever been thinking of someone and they call you or they text you or all of a sudden they knock on your door, right? Or they're showing up at your front door. So you go, wow, I was just thinking about you. That's not an accident. That's not an accident. That's quantum entanglement. And so this is exactly the science that Healy uses in working with the blue app. It's not the same in working with the pink app. The pink app now is harnessed to a magnetic wave or a microcurrent infusion. Either way, they're harnessed to a wave that has a maximum effective length. And the microcurrent has a maximum effective length of whatever it's connected to. I'm connected to me, so that's its effective length. So the blue app, working again with that that information field, which is essentially like the IR field, does not have a limit. So hopefully does that open up a little bit of difference there?
Yeah, and when we introduced the Meridian module, last year, it kind of opened up the first time that you could connect your MagHealy to the Analyse app and do an analysis as well. So yeah, it's the same thing, whether you're using your Healy to do a resonance analysis in the Analyse app and then vibrating those programs for a client, or for that same client doing a Meridian analysis with the MagHealy and vibrating those programs. Same concept here, same technology as far as what's actually happening when you're going to vibrate those.
And so the answer to does it work over distance? Yes. Yes, it does. Same thing. When you set up a client and you're doing the analysis, whether you're doing the analysis with the Meridian module or the analysis with the coaching module with the Healy, or like the Meridian module is with the MagHealy, whenever you're doing an analysis, whatever you have the ability to do an analysis with, MagHealy or Healy, there's a client entangled, right? And it's the entanglement of the client and the database of the device, the module that you're using, that creates the bridge. It builds a bridge in the quantum field, and it's non-local. Well, it's local and non-local. It's not restricted. So super powerful tools, guys.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And Dongni's putting some great stuff in there. By the way, you guys, if you want to save the chat, in your chat window there's three little dots, usually at the top, or maybe it's down there in the message field, depends on what you're on. If you're on your laptop or on your computer, there's three little dots there, and you can tap on those. It'll allow you to save the chat at the end of this call. So at the end of the call, when you got off the call, on the screen of your Zoom window will say a chat and a code there. You can keep that file.
Yep.
All right.
Okay. I think we're caught up right now, at least on my side. I wanted to show, there was a question earlier, or when we talked about the events earlier, as far as making sure you register for frequencies and friends, that kind of thing. For those of you that haven't been to it, this is our Healy Americas events.com page. It actually just had a little bit of a refresh, a little bit of a new look, a little bit of cleaner look here as well. But this is where you go to look at all of our upcoming events. So, for example, if you're not sure where to go to register for frequencies and friends, just go to this calendar, And then all the events here are linked. So if you click on frequencies and friends, September, it'll take you to the link to register for that. A lot of our other calls here as well. Actually, I just realized we're probably going to need to change this Healy for Beginners and Beyond for it's currently on here for the 19th because I will not be in town, but we'll probably try to move that up to either the 5th or the 12th. But anyway, this is the place to go for the most up-to-date information. Then also, of course, we're on the Telegram page as well as our Team Healy USA group there. Or I think didn't we recently change Team Healy Americas or something recently? Yeah. So as far as events, updates, any changes, that kind of thing, rescheduling, that's a great resource too. But this is usually updated as well right along with it. So
Great new look, by the way.
yeah.
It's looking very, very, very stylish.
Yeah, and if anybody has any requests for the next Healy for Beginners and Beyond, any topics you'd like to see us cover, go ahead and put those in the chat. And we'll see what we can do.
I was gonna say the same thing. Great minds think alike. Yeah, you guys.
Yeah.
The Healy for Beginners and Beyond is exactly that, for beginners and beyond, right? And I remember you guys that have been around a while. Remember, it was start out. Jake was doing an unboxing, right, of showing you all this stuff, and that was pretty fun, pretty cool. But you know, that kind of you only need one or two of those recordings, and you're good.
Yeah.
So it just kind of unfolded into a deeper dive in certain contents and modules and how-tos, and it's been a great asset. And all those recordings are on the YouTube page, you guys.
Yeah, and really, Healy for Beginners and Beyond, as Ken mentioned, is kind of the basic unboxing. Now with our new Healy onboarding program that's available 5 days a week, you can go there and actually, if you want to go through the onboarding, and it's more in depth than what I was doing before. It's on unboxing and that kind of too, but it goes into the background of the Healy device, a little bit of the science behind it, the how to connect to the app for the first time, how to make adjustments to the intensity, what to look out for, how to get the resources, Healy Academy, that kind of thing, and how to get support as well. But for those of you that haven't checked that out yet, if you just go to HealyOnboarding.com, actually, I'll share my screen again. So yeah, this is HealyOnboarding.com, and you see you can choose now as of a week or so ago between Spanish or English. So let's just click on getting started with your Healy. Actually, let me go back here. But yeah, so if you click on Spanish or English, it pulls up the dates that are available. You pick the time that works for you. You get an email confirmation, and you get a reminder as well before the event is about to begin. But it's super convenient. And then there's going to be additional topics added, sometime in September. Henry's been doing a great job with this, and he's going to be adding the next topic to be added is a onboarding related specifically to the Analyse app. I know a lot of people, have a lot of questions about how that works. We've had a lot of questions on this call tonight as far as exactly how that works too. So he's going to be putting together a great onboarding session for anyone looking for assistance with the Analyse app as well. And then we're going to add sessions on MagHealy, the Heal Advisor app, how to use the search function and all that kind of stuff as well later this year. But it's a great new resource. So yeah, definitely check it out if you've been wondering what exactly goes on during these sessions.
Yeah, you should, if you've been wondering and you haven't done it, even if you're familiar with Healy, you should try it anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, yes. So my philosophy, again, my background is in engineering, electronics engineering specifically, and there's a lot of complexity when it comes to the creation of something like that. When you're looking at what's your goal, what some of the design parameters, what's its function. There's some certain content. So whenever you're learning something, here's my advice, because our brain is an amazing adaptive what we call neuroplasty system, right? It's malleable. And I've heard many people out there say, well, I'm losing my memory. I'm not very well. I'm not learning as good anymore. A lot of that has to do with our desire to do so. When we are trying to learn something to the extent in which we could teach it. So in other words, if you're learning something that is so significant and so valuable that it might be a life or death scenario for somebody, or you're trying to do it for a loved one, to benefit them in their health or their well-being. When we're doing it to that extent, when we have such a deep desire, and we're learning it to a point in which we could teach another or demonstrate to another, our brain accepts, believes, and surrenders to the content to a much deeper level. And it solidifies in the memory with higher amplitudes of energy. And so it's like it's memorized, like, you know how you've had to memorize something for a test or for school. It's like it has been rehearsed multiple times per one session because of the emphasis you've placed and the meaning you've placed on the content. So when you're out there and you're learning Healy stuff, and you love your Healy, right? If you didn't, you wouldn't be here. But everybody, I believe, loves their Healy once they get it and start using it. So when you're trying to learn something, even being here, I would challenge you to learn something, understand something, and then demonstrate that to somebody. Teach somebody what you've learned. When you have the idea that you're going to have to teach it or going to want to teach it, not have to, but want to, your brain moves differently. So you'll just get smarter. How about that?
Yeah. Sounds good.
All right. Let's see. And so I see that Dongy's putting in their content about the live chat, right?
Yeah.
Which is another helpful tool in the shop page. You don't even have to be logged in, by the way.
No, yeah. If you're having login trouble, then no worries. You'll be able to still contact our team. So
yeah, you can still get into that chat there. This is there's a good reason that it's not, you don't have to be logged in, because people are having trouble logging in. So it's like,
yeah, that's one of the top questions we get. I can't log in. So
I can't log in. So how do I get a support
yeah.
ticket?
We've all forgot passwords and things like that over time from all these different websites we have access to. But
All right, we're all caught up. Lots of great links in the chat, by the way, you guys. So hopefully you're gonna try to save it, and when you save it, it creates a file, right? A digital file, and it's not like a big file or anything. And so you can rename that file, by the way, to whatever keywords get your mind to remember what that file is for. Tech Tip Tuesday and I learned this, or whatever. You can name the file, and then you'll have it just be saved somewhere on your hard drive, right? You can put it on your desktop, in a file somewhere in your hard drive, whatever. I have files of all sorts. I have Healy videos, I have Healy interviews, I have Tech Tip Tuesday things, I have What's Up Wednesday things. I've got files all over in my computer, but I know how to search them. So just make yourself a note in your mind. Don't forget where you put it, right? How many people put something where I'll never forget it, and then you forget it? Where did I put that thing?
yeah. I'm going to go back while we have some time here, while some additional questions are coming in. I'm going to share something on the YouTube channel. So, we'd like to just remind people here, we have our Healy World Americas YouTube channel, which is this here, where we have all recordings, some of the different videos and playlists. We have playlists for the main ones are What's Up Wednesday, Tech Tip Tuesday, Healy for Beginners and Beyond. We got a ton of pages there. If you go to the playlist for Tech Tip Tuesday, I mean, you're going to be scrolling for a while. here at this point. We started adding these recordings. Let's see, when was it? Yeah, January of 2022.
Hmm.
So well over 2 years, over 2.5 years ago, that we started adding those. So we have 113 videos just within there. Then of course we have the Healy for Beginners and Beyond. We talked earlier about the Analyse 2 app where we're talking about the transmission duration. That was one of the topics there. So you can definitely go back and review that recording too. But we have a lot of Healy for Beginners and Beyond added here as well, 26 different ones of those. But we talk a lot about our Americas channel because a lot of our local trainings and stuff are there. But if you aren't also checking out the Healy World official page, you're missing out on tons of great content, whether it's anything from elements, some of these short videos, which are very cool as well, related to the products, videos on the Obsidian edition. We have videos on the new business suite. And then also, this is one of the most important sections if you go to the live tab here. So this is, for those of you who get the emails or heard about Healy Horizon, Residence Podcast, this is where you go to view them live or also to view the recordings. So they're all within the live section. Even if you missed it live, you still go to the live section to actually watch the recording. And, there's, again, a lot of all the different episodes are available here. You can watch all these recordings. And there was another great one just last week that a lot of great tips related to water and also using your Healy and MagHealy, that kind of thing with water. So tons of great content. And you see here, Kai has one coming up here. The Residence Podcast is on Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern. He's doing his episode on the new business suite. So if you're curious about that, he's going to share a lot of great tips as well.
Those are great. Those are great little podcasts too, because it's like
Yeah.
it's like an overview, but sometimes there's little tips. I like those. Those are great.
Yeah.
That's an awesome resource, you guys. And by the way, within that channel, with the general, I take a look at Dr. Garoli's presentation on
Yeah, this one here. Yeah.
on the new elements supplements. Take a look at that one, because I'll tell you something. So he has got some great science, and he is paired up with Healy to help develop the elements system. And there are so many supplements out there, so many different powders and potions and shakes and things, but this is a lot different. And this system that Healy's created is a signaling process, one for the morning and one for the night. And he describes it perfectly and how it works scientifically. And so super interesting. Go check it out, because some of the times we're struggling with certain aspects of, say, bioavailability of things, or swinging from one neurotransmitter to another. And here's a great question. I'm segueing into Dory's question here about things that keep one awake, right? So there's a concept, there's an understanding that the neural processing of our brain, it's thinking to the tune of 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day, right? And there are certain chemistries or certain processes within our body that start to dim down some of that analytical process so that we can go into rest state and go to sleep, right? And that's where melatonin starts to increase as the light diminishes around us and the optic nerve perceives less and less light, aka movement into nighttime. There's over 400 systems in our body that automatically engage. Some disengage, some engage, but there's a shift. And so the nighttime formula of the elements is designed to trigger and enhance these processes in the body so that the mind doesn't get stuck on appliances. And Dory's talking about there's appliances that are keeping me awake. What can I do about this? Right? Well, there's very little things that are necessary to keep our mind awake when our body has been either programmed or held hostage by artificial light or the diminishing of melatonin to downregulate thought. So these elements are helping us, are helping our body to do that natural signaling process and increase the desire for the body to go into sleep. So definitely look into Dr. Garoli's content. Definitely look into the elements. Get your elements ordered and use it. Try it out.
Yeah, and we just started shipping about a little over a week ago, or just under a week ago.
Just got
So
mine.
yeah, and we've had a lot of great success stories as well, especially as Ken mentioning with the night formula, people that maybe have
Mhm.
trouble sleeping or trouble staying asleep. And for some people, maybe they're usually waking up like 3 or 4 times in the middle of the night. Even if this just helps you, only wake up once or twice, it's a big deal for a lot of people getting that more restful sleep. So, if sleep is a concern, maybe trying out the elements would be what you need as far as to help, support more restful sleep. And as far as the MagHealy program, if you're, elements of course would be great to try out, but a MagHealy program to counteract the physical vibrations. I'm wondering, there's it's not there's a program called Sound of Silence, which is related to if you're experiencing auditory disharmony, but the actual the vibrating sensation, I'm wondering, if there's anything that would match up well with that.
Here's my here's my advice. So the body is designed to rest. The only thing that keeps us away from that is the mind. No different than the body is designed to heal. The only thing that keeps us away from that is the mind. Okay. Study after study after study of athletes of all kinds, when they perceived they were at failure and had no more energy to continue, there was sampling taken from muscle tissue to find out glycogen stores, and was discovered that there was still energy in the muscle to continue moving. It was the mind that gave up first, right? The mind has the mother lode influence on everything about you. Essentially, it is the autonomic nervous system. The autonomic nervous system, when it is in any state other than the parasympathetic, in other words, parasympathetic is rest and digest. If it's in some degree of sympathetic or fight or flight, some degree, it's going to hold you hostage to the alert state of the mind. So what we have to do, folks, is we have to take responsibility a bit. And I hear you in regards to these exterior things keeping us awake. But if we can find a process of finding balance in our lives and even letting go of our judgment of the appliances keeping us awake. And I'm not saying it's easy, but it is a practice. Meditation is a great practice. Prayer is a great practice. Mindfulness practices of some sort is going to help your mind slow down. Now, the other thing is I highly recommend is to stay off of any screens 2 hours before bed. Any screen. Get off your phone, folks. I'm right. Get off the phone. Shut off the television. Get off of any screen for 2 hours before bed. Don't eat any food a minimum of an hour before bed. Nothing. Unless it is a pure non-carb protein of some sort. And that's usually not something you're chewing. It usually comes in a powder form. But the point is down-regulate light 2 hours before bed. Let the melatonin naturally start to build in your body. This is what's going to happen when you down-regulate light. When you have bright lights turned on, you have the television screen on, you got sound blaring. It doesn't matter if your head hits the pillow. When you shut all that stuff down and head hits the pillow, the mind is still racing. So we got to do a little bit of self-care and start using those tools. So start shutting things down 2 hours before your bedtime. Just do that practice. Use the elements to start shutting things down and then just watch what happens. It's regardless of the background noise, your body will start to go into rest and it will sleep. Okay. So Dory says, no problem falling asleep. It's the vibrating wakes me up too early. And so I want you to understand that the body isn't, it's an opportunist. If, again, if contents, so by the way, again, depends on what time it is. When light starts to come around and you have windows open, the subconscious, light still goes to your eyelids, right? If you don't believe me, just close your eyes right now, and put your hands in front of your eyes. So when you close your eyes, there's a certain level of light. When you put your hands in front of it, it dims down even more. So there's still light that comes through your eyelids. So shutting down light influences, unless you want to get up with the sunrise or with the dawn, and I'm saying dawn is before sunrise, that glow in the sky that starts to light up, it triggers the serotonin, even with eyes closed. So depending on how early you're waking up, there's a lot of studies around what time of day you wake up relative to circadian rhythm and your spiritual practices.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Dorian, I mean, as far as using the program with the MagHealy, I'm just curious, have you not had good results using the sleep program in MagHealy as far as helping to, stay asleep, if that was, because I have heard a lot of people use that every night because it's such a great program.
it is a great program, and we should, because it'll run infinity, right? It is
Yeah.
no shut off time as long as the battery doesn't go dead. So
Yeah.
if it's sitting on the charge plate, and that's pretty much the only time that I would recommend you do that is
Mhm.
during a night duration, but not
Yeah.
every. The next day, after you've run it all night, right? The next day, take it off of the charge plate. Once it's charged, take it off, and then use it until it runs itself down, right?
Uh-huh.
To charge, and then go back to the charge plate. Because if you do that every night, you're going to start creating some issues with the recharge sequence.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah,
just
if you
don't.
keep it on the charger always, it's not going to actually charge to full capacity. It actually stops at 60%. There's a protection feature built in. So if you use it always on the charger and then you take it off, you're not going to have a full battery if you take it with you to go somewhere else as well. If you do that every single night. So yeah, like I mentioned, maybe alternate it
Yeah.
as well.
So here's a clue. And Dory, I hope it's okay if we pick on you for a minute. Lovingly, of course. I'm going to pick on you just with my big, huge open heart because I love you dearly.
Yeah.
There's a remark. She says that stress programs helps more than sleep programs.
Hmm.
This is a clue. Just what I said earlier, that the sympathetic nervous system is a stress response. And so our mind keeps us locked into that, right? And the body gets the chemistry as the effect of the mind's influence. So the chemistry in the body of cortisol shuts down so many essential systems and holds us away at arm's length from relaxation, right? And so even though we feel tired and our eyes feel like they're full of sand, right? It's like trying to actually drift off to sleep. That is something that keeps holding us back into consciousness. And that is the autonomic nervous system. And so programs that work with the autonomic nervous system, AKA stress programs, there's another one, which is bed rest. Bed rest is one on the sleep page. Its design is to move you from sympathetic, AKA fight or flight, to parasympathetic, AKA rest and digest. That's what it does. It's not trying to make you sleepy. This is trying to downregulate stress response. So you can run that program anytime during the day. I do.
Yeah.
If I feel myself, I mean, it's not going to make me sleepy. It's going to slow down my stress response. Now, I have a biorhythmic Garmin watch that measures my stress response, HRV. So if you can measure HRV, I would bet that you would see some of that incoherence, aka stress response. right? And this is where my field of study is in the epigenetic influence of just thought, and how it moves this sympathetic nervous system, or I should say autonomic nervous system, into sympathetic or parasympathetic, right? So, and I love your statement there, Dory. So this is a great testament to the MagHealy battery that will run all night long. She's saying that her MagHealy will run all night long, not on the charge plate. So that's good, right? That's good.
Yeah.
We want it to do that. So anyway, pay close attention to what programs are helping you, and let that be breadcrumbs as to what your body's trying to tell you. And how many people actually know exactly the state of your autonomic nervous system? There's ways of measuring that, by the way. But it's one of the great, there's a couple of great indicators. One is vagal tone. The vagus nerve there's a measurement you can look at vagal tone. And the other one is your HRV, or heart rate variability. Heart rate variability is the difference in the sinus peak, the rhythm of like an ECG or EKG, right? The peak. It might be showing you that your heart rate is 70 beats per minute, right? But those peaks vary by little bits. That's what's called the heart rate variability. So if it's exactly at the 70 beats per minute, beat, beat, and not 69.2 or 71.3, right? Or 70.7, right? It's not in there. Then your balance is proper, meaning the brain and the heart is in coherence. I do tons and tons of testing of autonomic nervous systems. And the interesting part is, folks, and this is society. We have normalized higher states of stress than any other time in the life existence of humans. We've normalized high levels of stress, right? Because I got an email I got to take care of, or I got a job to get done, or I got a deadline to make, right? All of those things. And this is not just a little bit, it's all day. Once upon a time, there was a moment in time through these migratory periods where people just went out and they just did their jobs, right? They woke up with the sun, they went to sleep with the sunset, and the nature and the grounding of the earth was maintaining their resonance. Now we're on concrete most of the time. Right? When's the last time you guys were barefoot in the sand or in the grass or in the dirt? When?
Yeah.
Right? Really? And so I have these like barefoot shoes that are grounding shoes, that even when you're wearing them, there's tabs that ground into the earth and connect electronically, because that's all you need to do is connect electronically. So anytime I'm walking, I try to avoid the sidewalk and just walk in the grass or in the dirt, right? Sometimes it's not convenient to be barefoot, but the point is I can even wear these in a restaurant and they're connected to the ground. So my point, guys, you've heard us talk about before: self-care, hydration, grounding, movement, and breathing, right? Some simple stuff. Those are very important. And then do some research. Take a look at how you can measure HRV. And there's devices now, wearable devices, that are measuring HRV, and you can practice keeping yourself in the rest state. I do that, and this will monitor that for me. It's up to yesterday was 17.2 hours of my waking day in rest. That's
Wow.
the body. What that means, folks, is when you're in rest, your body's healing. That's it. You're not healing if you're not in rest. And that's okay. Our body's made to go out and do stuff, but not all day, right? And all night, not all week and all month. Okay? Okay. Research. Go online and take a look at the wearable HRV systems. They even make rings now, right? I mean,
Yeah.
they're fairly inexpensive, but that's a good measuring stick for you if you don't know. Okay, Jake, what else?
Yeah. We're there.
Good. We're good. All right. Well, hey, you guys, thanks for being here. Hopefully you got some value out of this and you learned something tonight. Definitely, if so, invite somebody over, join us next week, and we'll continue to learn and deep dive. How about that?
Sounds great.
All right. Thank you, Jake. Thank you, Dongni. Hey, you guys have a great night. Save the chat. Quick little click. Don't
Thanks,
forget to
everyone.
register for Frequency and Friends.
Yes, Healy America, Dongni put all the links in the chat there again. So as Ken mentioned, save the chat. Make sure you have all those too.
All right. Click, click, click. All right, you guys. Great to see you again.